Chapter 3571. When he heard Charlie's words, William suddenly became angry and blurted out, "The surname is Wade, your words are a bit too arrogant." Charlie asked with a smile, "Aren't you arrogant? Why don't I think?" After speaking, Charlie said again, "Even if our Wade family has suffered heavy losses, they still have trillions of assets. Some families have not experienced such a large loss, and they have not as much money as my Wade family. This is not rubbish, and what can it be?" Charlie looked at the two of them, paused slightly, and joked, "Look, if the water in the sea is half gone, it will still be the sea, but even if the water in the mud pit is full, it will still be a mud pit." The faces of Olivia and William turned very ugly. Olivia is very clear about the strength of the Nordic royal family. Cash, antiques, real estate, foreign investment, etc. are all counted, but only a few billion euros. Moreover, the royal family is not Olivia's family of three. There are a large number of royal relatives and relatives below, all waiting for the royal family to feed. But even if the Wade family gave half of their assets to Cataclysmic Front, the remaining assets would still have hundreds of billions of euros, which is really much stronger than the royal family. William was as annoyed as Olivia. Although his surname is Rothschild, the overall economic strength of their family can barely reach 10 billion when converted into euros. In his opinion, it may not be as good as 1/10 of the current Wade family. However, William gritted his teeth and retorted, "Our Rothschild family has been deeply cultivated in the world for hundreds of years, and our comprehensive assets are more than $1 trillion, and 10 trillion may not be able to stop it. In front of the Rothschild family, nothing home, not even rubbish." Charlie asked curiously, "Are you from the Rothschild family?" Olivia said proudly, "Forgot to introduce to both of you, this is my fiancé, the young talent of the Rothschild family, William Rothschild." Charlie smiled slightly, and said, "It's really a member of the Rothschild family, no wonder he speaks so loudly." William sneered, "What, do you now realize how rubbish the Wade family is in front of our Rothschild family?" Charlie shook his head and said faintly, "Trash is not trash. It depends on who is compared. If compared with the core family of Rothschild, the Wade family is naturally inferior, but I heard that there are many in the Rothschild family. The collateral lines are branched, and these collateral lines are divided into 3 steps. I don't know which step is Mr. William's family on." Hearing this, William's face immediately turned pale. When it comes to the Rothschild family, he is full of pride. But as soon as he talked about the topic of the first step he was in, he didn't know what to do. Because his family, in the Rothschild family, is just the 3rd step at the end of the crane. Seeing his strange expression but not speaking, Charlie couldn't help but smile and asked, "What's the matter, Mr. William? Wasn't he quite able to speak just now? Why don't you speak now?" William's expression was cloudy and uncertain, and he didn't know how to respond for a while. Seeing her fiancé deflated, Olivia said in a cold voice, "Mr. Wade, this is Northern Europe, not China. It's better not to speak so sharply." Charlie snorted and asked, "Is that sharp? It seems that you still lack understanding of true sharpness." At this time, Helena came out and said roundly, "I think everyone should stop chatting here. Let's go back to the palace. I also want to see how Grandma and her old family are now." Olivia smiled playfully and said, "Helena, don't worry, William and First are here at the airport this time. Not only will I pick you up, but also a friend will be here soon. It's better to wait for him to arrive. After that, we will return to the palace together." Helena asked subconsciously, "Who is the other friend you are talking about?" Olivia laughed. "This friend is an oligarch in Russia, Amon Ramovich." Helena had already learned from the 2 entourages that Olivia wanted to sell herself to Amon Ramovich, so when she heard this, her heart suddenly shook. Chapter 3572. However, she tried to control her emotions, pretending to be surprised. "Olivia, when did you become friends with such a vulgar person?" Olivia squinted at Helena, and asked a little surprised, Helena, has no one mentioned Amon Ramovich to you? Helena shook her head blankly. No one mentioned it, what's the matter? Today, Helena left the two subordinates placed by Olivia and came back alone, and Olivia knew that her identity had been exposed. Now, she didn't know whether her two people had told Helena of her plan. Because before, she instructed two of her men to lie to Helena to go to the airport, and then send her directly to St. Petersburg. But now that Helena looked blank, Olivia thought she might not have learned about it yet. So, Olivia smiled profoundly and said, this Amon Ramovich is a very good person, rich, and very gentleman. It's just that he's a little older and doesn't have what they said. Don't look at it so crudely. Helena pretended to smile casually. In my impression, the nobles in Western Europe seem to have been repelling him all the time. Why did you invite him over? Olivia laughed and said, although Amon Ramovich has no commendable background, he is at least a billionaire worthy of tens of billions of dollars. I want to revitalize the royal family in the future. Of course, I have to have a good relationship with this rich man. As he was talking, the sound of an airplane engine outside was getting closer and closer, and a brand new Gulfstream G650 business jet, guided by the guide car, slowly taxied towards the hangar. Olivia raised her eyebrows and smiled. Amon Ramovich is here. The G650 quickly stopped at the position next to the Concorde, the door opened, and a short and thin middle-aged man in a dark blue suit walked out of the door with a smile on his face. This person is the only remaining oligarch in Russia today, Amon Ramovich. Amon Ramovich was born in poverty, but caught the wave of the times, accumulated wealth in a crazy period in Russia, and quickly rose to the top rich. When Amon Ramovich got off the plane, he smiled and said to Olivia, His Royal Highness Princess Olivia, long time no see. After speaking, he immediately looked at Helena on the side with a look of greed, and said with a smile, this should be Princess Helena, right? Helena is somewhat uncomfortable, and Olivia next to her, after seeing Amon Ramovich's obsessive eyes with Helena, smiled and said, Mr. Amon Ramovich, this is my sister, Princess Helena. Amon Ramovich immediately stretched out his hand to Helena, looking forward to kissing her, while very gentlemanly said, It's very nice to meet you, Your Royal Highness Princess Helena. Helena didn't want Amon Ramovich to kiss her hand. She had already guessed Olivia's motive for inviting Amon Ramovich, and she was disgusted, so she nodded at him slightly with an apologetic face. Said, Sorry Mr. Amon Ramovich, because my fiancé is from Warsaw, so I have to abide by Huaxia's customs and cannot give kisses. Please forgive me. Amon Ramovich gave an awkward smile, then quietly retracted his hand, and said with a smile, it's okay, I understand it. Olivia glanced at Helena and sneered in her heart, Helena, what are you pretending to be reserved? It won't be long before you will be Amon Ramovich's woman. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for new updates. Thank you very much for watching, keep safe everyone and God bless you all.